What's up YouTube, I'm Edwin. Welcome back to my smartphone photography series. In my previous video, I've talked about the 5 tips and tricks that you can use to improve your photography skills. If you are new to this series, I would recommend you to start watching the whole series right here, or click on the link down below in the description box. The 3 basic photography element is also known as exposure triangle. The exposure triangle consists of aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. Now, these functions are all camera functions, so you might ask me,
what it has to do with our smartphone photography?
Well, one thing that you might not know is this also applies to smartphone cameras. Do you know that? Drop a comment down below to let me know that you're a smart guy. So, if you are using your native camera app to take photos, you might not see these functions available to you because everything is under control by your native camera app. So you might ask me,
if this is actually handled by the smartphone, why do I still need to learn about this exposure triangle?
Well, because the adjustment is made by the native camera app, it might either break your image quality or improve your image quality. So if you didn't use it wisely, then it will break your image quality. So how do we make it right? Well, first, we will go in depth into our exposure triangle to see how each of the elements works. Aperture refers to how big the camera lens needs to open in order to allow the light through the lens. Normally, it's expressed in f numbers. The larger the aperture size, the smaller the f number, and vice versa. So, the aperture not only affects the brightness of an image, but it also affects the depth of field. So some of you might ask,
Edwin, what is depth of field?
Well, depth of field refers to how much focus is given to the background and the foreground. Well, in this illustration, you will be able to see the larger the aperture size with a small f number, you have a smaller depth of field. Well, this means that less objects are being focused, the background will be blurred, and the picture will be brighter since the hole is bigger, more light entering into the camera. On the other hand, the smaller the aperture size with bigger f numbers, you will have a bigger depth of field. This means more objects are focused, but the picture will be darker since the hole of the aperture only allows a very small amount of light to enter into the camera. Next, I'll talk about shutter speed. Shutter speed refers to how long the camera shutter will remain open to allow the amount of light to enter into the camera sensor. The slower the shutter speed, the more light will be allowed to enter into the camera. The faster the shutter speed, the lesser light will be able to pass through into the camera. Well, in this example, you can see that the slower shutter speed, the brighter the image will be, while the faster shutter speed will have a darker image. Well, here comes to the third and also our last element in the exposure triangle, and it is ISO. ISO refers to camera sensitivity to light. The lower the ISO, the darker the image, and the higher the ISO, the brighter the image. Vice versa. A high ISO can cause a noisy image, but it will give you a brighter image. A low ISO will give cleaner image, but in a result, you will get a darker image. Now, the 3 elements that I mentioned just now are interdependent on each other. Any changes made to either one of it will affect the overall image quality. So, how do you control all these features using our smartphone? Well, it's fairly simple. There are a few apps on the App Store or Google Play Store. Simply just search DSLR camera app. Any one of it will do, as long as you are able to control the ISO and shutter speed. Unfortunately, you are not able to control aperture on our smartphone because our smartphone doesn't work as a camera lens. You couldn't control the blurriness of the image, whether you want it to be more focused or less focused. Well, here are some apps which I found easy to use if you are an iPhone user. I would suggest Moment Pro Camera, Raw Plus Footage. By using Roll Plus, you can get your 100 shots free, and after that you've got to pay for few ringgits, which is worth it because you will unlock it permanently and it's worthwhile. It is easy to use and it supports RAW format, which is accepted by Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Lightroom. Now, when this video hits 15 likes, I will create a mini tutorial on how you can optimize your image with Adobe Lightroom. Just a disclaimer, this video is not sponsored by all these apps that I mentioned just now. It's just my recommendation. So, question of the day. Do you think that you are ready to shoot some professional photos and share your work with your families and friends? Next question. Should I extend this smartphone photography tutorial to smartphone videography too? Tell me in the comment sections down below. In my next video, I'm gonna share with you on how each of the elements are being used in different situations and different settings. So make sure to subscribe and click on the bell icon down below so that you can receive notifications when I upload a new video. I'm Edwin. I'll see you in my next video.